All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about a couple of aspects of Storm 2006 to me that are pretty interesting. Like I said, it did affect the way we calculate drainage here in El Paso. I changed all our formulas, I changed our intensities, they changed not as much the coefficients, everything stayed the same, but really the intensities is the one that changed a lot in our Q equals CIA rational formula. But what happens? Let's talk about this one area first. Okay, this is an area. It's close to downtown El Paso. This area is actually called the Spaghetti Bowl of the freeway. Um, and there's one road here that I want to kind of put the little monita on that I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about. Okay, so this is the gateway, the frontage road, and if you can kind of see here, this is what's called a spillway. Okay. So water, whenever there's a ponding area a little bit further up, and I'll outline that next in a little bit. But whenever water fills those ponding areas and it starts overflowing, it would overflow through here, and it would come out to the roadway, and in this case, it would actually jump into this ponding area that the Saipan Ledo Pond in this area by Thomason Hospital is the Texas Tech and all that in Central El Paso. But to me, what's interesting is let's go ahead and travel in time all the way back to November 2007. I always wondered because that spillway happens to be right in front of a house. And I would drive through here. I think I'm not sure if I told you guys that before, but I would drive through here. Well, let's go back to 2007. And I would drive through here with my mom and my dad when I was a kid, and I always remember looking this way and seeing this spillway, and then I would look this way, and there's a house, and I would think like, huh. So what if water eventually jumps through here and a big storm and goes to this house? Okay. Well, I was a kid. This was back in 88 and 89 or even younger, older than that. So, I kind of really never think that it was going to happen, but it did. It happened in 2006. And let's see what May 2008 looks like. Because I think in here, oh, here we go. What happened, ladies and gentlemen, it did. It actually overflowed and stormed in 2006. The water overflowed in here. There was a big storm that it was about a 3 day storm, and it wiped out this house and these houses. All this whole area is a neighborhood that doesn't exist anymore because it got wiped out by the storms. And why this happened, why this was allowed to happen, why that construction was allowed to happen, and of course, this is November 2007. These houses, you can kind of tell they're older. And I will tell you, I can probably guarantee the houses were here before the freeway. I can guarantee it. The freeway, it's an old freeway, but it hasn't been here forever. I will tell you, probably these houses were here before the freeway. Okay. So why was it designed like that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I will tell you, it wiped out these houses. In Storm 2007, that um, um, the retention pond overflowed and the water came right at this neighborhood and it basically wiped it out. I remember watching the news that day, and it was just kind of scary because the fire department had to go in there and get rescue people and boats and stuff. But it wiped out a whole neighborhood, and the city of El Paso got sued many times by many different people. And the city of El Paso bought themselves a bunch of houses. They bought this house, they bought that house, they bought this house over here. They bought property off of these people, and basically, and probably these two had to move out because could this overflow again? It sure can. Okay, and I don't know why they never thought about it not overflowing to begin with, because like I tell you, I always see this and I'll see this like no way, how could that be? But yeah, sure enough, it happened. It happened and it wiped out a whole neighborhood, and now we have a ponding area because of that. And again, the city got sued by several people, and whatever, and they just kind of came back and okay, we're going to go ahead and make a park out of it. And now there's a ponding area right in here. Okay, so how did that happen? Well, that little drainage area right in here, It's a retention pond area. So this whole area right underneath the freeway. Oops, where's my little marker? There we go. This whole area right in here is a big ponding area that exists, and it actually connects underneath the freeway. It connects to this ponding area and this ponding area next to the Concordia Cemetery. This is an old cemetery. It's the oldest here in El Paso. There's grave sites here that are from the 1800s. Um, I actually have my grandpa, maybe somewhere in here, Jesus Torres, somewhere in there, that is buried there today. But nonetheless, these are the ponding areas that exist, and those ponding areas are the ones that flooded. And let's see if we can kind of, I wonder if we can see it from maybe one of these. Yeah, I guess you can kind of see it. It's just you probably, like I said, driven down the freeway behind all the shrubbery and stuff. There's the big ponding area down there. When it's dry, you actually have a lot of homeless people living down there because it's kind of like a park. You're not really supposed to be in there because if it floods and you're in there, plus that's not a good situation. But this whole area here is a ponding area. And let's see if we can see this other one that connects here. Right over here is another one. I wonder if we can see it from this ramp here. No, there's a wall back there, so I guess not. Where can we see it? I think we could probably see it from maybe here somewhere off of Yandel. There we go. So this is the other ponding area right in here, and it kind of reaches all the way underneath the freeway. So all of this area actually flooded, and it's a huge, huge pond. And I will tell you, it flooded in Storm 2006. Now, this pond is a continuation from another pond and another series of ponds that goes all the way up into the Fort Bliss area. How these connect, I am not sure, to be honest with you, but they somehow connect. These ponding area, this ponding area, this ponding area, and then to the one over here by the house, they're all somehow connected. And they connect up to what's called the Pershing Dam. The Pershing Dam is a facility, and I'm trying to find because there's like canals and channels that connect from here all the way up to the Pershing Dam, which is actually way over here. Okay. And this area here, I wonder if I can go into 3D now to think about it. Let me see. Oh, yeah, here we go, 3D. Perfect. This ponding area here flooded also. So once again, you can kind of see it's a big, huge ponding area. This is up there by Fort Bliss, headed towards the northeast. And this ponding area flooded. And then it actually overflowed through this spillway right in here. These are called dissipators. So what happens is that water overflows in here, and these are big concrete blocks. They're probably bigger than you. They're about 5 or 6 feet tall, and they slow down the water. So water that overflows goes through here, and it slows it down, and then it goes through a series of channels and stuff all the way down to and right in through here, and it goes all the way down to the freeway, all the way down the freeway, and then eventually down to that area down there by the spaghetti bowl, and then to that house and that whole area that got taken out by that storm. But if you look at these areas, these are massive, massive areas. Matter of fact, I think it used to be like a soccer field down in here. It was so big. I think they had several soccer fields. So for you soccer people, you can kind of see, or imagine how big these areas are. But nonetheless, it overflowed, and this is up in the northeast of El Paso. It overflowed, and it came and it went all the way down to that house. Okay. Once again, why was that house there, and why did nobody really consider that? I don't know, but it did, and it overflowed it. Okay. Um, those dissipators. As a matter of fact, there's a video right in here. Check out this storm. Well, let's wait for the ad. There we go. Okay. So this is on Storm 2006. Nobody ever imagined water coming down through there, but look at that. There was a huge, huge storm that happened that day. You really don't want to go in there because that'll basically take you down through that water and probably kill you. So don't ever jump in water like that, by the way, if you ever see it. It's probably the fire department recording this, I guess. I'm not sure. But look at the size of those, what they call dissipators. They are pretty big. Okay. So these are events that people never imagined that would happen. Like they're gonna say, "Oh, well, that big ponding area, how can ever water ever jump through those and get down to any other area?" No, it's just you never know. You never know. It's just that's Mother Nature, and she'll do whatever she wants. Let's see, we have any other videos here. This is 2015. I'm gonna focus more on 2006. I think this is just more of a kind of a slideshow type of thing. But let's look at a few of these. I don't know if you guys can hear the music, but it's just some background music. And it looked like that for about 3 to 4 days straight. Dumpsters got flushed away and roadways collapsed. That's the ponding area underneath the freeway, all full of water. I guess our phones back then weren't that great. You couldn't take that high resolution pictures you can now. This is up on Mesa Hills. That whole roadway kind of collapsed. That's over there by the Blockbusters. There it is on the west side of El Paso. People had to be rescued on boats. Some houses had water coming up to theirs houses, and the freeway was stopped. People couldn't get through. That's a road, by the way. Half of it was left. Yeah, people couldn't get through, so the freeway was closed. Yeah. So it was a pretty crazy event. Let me see if there's any other pictures here of interest. So those ponding areas that just started filling up. I wish there was pictures of the river. I don't think anybody ever took pictures of the river. Yeah, just trash started flowing down the roadways. Like I said, the freeway was closed. It was impassable, so I had to start getting people off the freeway somehow. Um, but yeah, it was a pretty bad storm. What's happening here? Yeah. So some areas don't, this is over there off of Donovan. I mean, it's just a shopping center. It kind of flooded. So a lot of things happened that day, and because of that day, we had to rethink our calculations and formulas and all that stuff. So just a few more pictures of some of the things that people had to do. All here in El Paso. This is the inside of somebody's house, by the way. Probably about what 2 to 3 feet of mud. Yeah. I will tell you, it was a pretty scary event, especially here in the Riverside area. The river almost overflowed. So my in-laws, my suegros lived in this area. I came in to pick them up in my truck and take them to our house because we were afraid that the river was going to overflow and flood this entire area of Riverside. So just to be on the safe side, I came to pick them up. So It was a pretty scary event, but that's how that one happened. Okay. All right. So let me show you, and this is not really having to do with Storm 2006, but just a ponding area. And remember, ponds exist in different locations. Like I told you, Album Park, I don't know if you knew that or not, is a ponding area. You can kind of see it right in here. So that is a ponding area whenever it rains. I don't know if you guys ever been to Album Park, but that area is it will flood because it is meant to hold water from this whole neighborhood. Um, but we have different ponds in different locations. So we have those ponds all over the place in El Paso. But there's one that's actually at the mall. Okay. Cielo Vista Mall. I'm sure you guys have been there before. Okay. So Cielo Vista Mall has a big ponding area. Okay. And you guys have seen it. And I know you have. Okay. So if we go over here towards this part of Cielo Vista, towards the back, I think there's the Sears over here. I don't know if you guys ever seen this little area right in here at the mall. Okay. If you're parked over here, there's one of the mall entrances, and if you walked over to the mall to the theater, I don't know if you guys ever seen this in here. This is actually an underground pond. It's a big, huge hole in the ground. It's about 30 feet deep. And what happens is the mall decided to build a big parking lot right on top of it where a lot of people do donuts with their cars. And if you've ever parked in one of these areas, I don't know if you've seen these little fans, and they're always running. These are to ventilate the area because there's moisture down there. So what happens is this is actually like a big, huge bridge deck right on top of that ponding area. It's a huge ponding area. I didn't know about it until when I was working with CSA Consulting Engineers, were hired to study a pond because I don't remember what it was exactly, but we had a developer that was looking at some developments up in here, and they needed to know where stormwater was running to, and they hired us to study and calculate the ponding area. And it was at the mall, and we're like, a pond at the mall? Where? I'm like, I know where the mall is at, the Olive Garden and stuff. Where's the pond? And they say, oh yeah, it's underneath that bridge deck over here in the back. Like, oh, that's a pond. It sure is. It's about 30 feet deep. It's a huge pond, and it's very creepy. We were supposed to go inside of there. I never got to, but we were supposed to go in there and study it and take pictures and stuff. But I never got to do that. One of the engineers from our office ended up doing that, but it was kind of creepy. But this is a big ponding area. There's rumors that there's homeless people that live down there. There's alligators, from what we understand, down there because it's there's moisture, and these typical ponds that we have on these other subdivisions are open to the air, so they're able to drain pretty easily. But this one's covered. The one in Cielo Vista is covered, so you really don't get a lot of evaporation off of there. So there's moisture under there. And from one of the engineers, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but he said that there's actually alligators that live under there. How true is that or not, I don't know, but I can probably see that being a possibility. But that's a ponding area. So whenever you're parked here, you're actually parked on a concrete structure that's 30 feet up in the air. If you were to make a hole in here and fall through, you'd fall about 30 feet down and probably die if you were to. So whenever I park in here nowadays, because that's actually my favorite parking spot because I always find parking here. I always park here and just kind of think about that ponding area. Like, man, what if this structure were to collapse and I'm driving over it? I guess I could probably kiss myself goodbye because I probably wouldn't survive it. But that is a ponding area that exists in the back of Cielo Vista Mall. Now, why is it covered? Why is it covered? Okay. The little bit of research that we did do when I was with the consultants is that the mall was here, the ponding area was here before the mall. So they had the big hole in the ground right in here. It was a big ponding area. All this whole neighborhood, everything drains through the streets and eventually into the pond. So the pond was there before. So then the mall came in, and then the mall needs parking, all these parking spots, and they need to have a certain amount of parking. But then they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough, and then they say, well, there's a big pond right in here. What if we were to just build a big, huge structure right on top of it, cover it, and then we'll use that for our parking? Okay. So they did. They did. The mall back then used to have a lot of money, so they're able to build a big, huge bridge structure right on top of the ponding area. They covered it, got approvals and all that stuff, and now it's a parking lot. Okay, but it actually is a retention pond underneath there, and it does serve a lot of the east side. I think it goes all the way from Montana south from this whole area. I think the watershed area is up to Hawkins from what I remember, and I don't remember which other streets, but there were some other streets in here, and that was considered the watershed area for that pond, something like that. So this whole area actually drains into the ponding area there at Cielo Vista. Okay. Again, this is a long time ago, so I don't remember exactly, but I will tell you it's kind of like that area roughly. But that is a retention pond. But other than that, we do again. We have them all over the place. If we go over here to Riverside, where we're at now, we have the vocational park over here. Let's see, North Carolina. Where are we? Here we go. Um, right beside Riverside Middle. That, as a matter of fact, right behind us is a ponding area. Right behind the school, and then this is now a park. Of course, here it's not improved as a park, but you can walk in there whenever you want. You shouldn't, just be careful. But this one here was actually redone as a park. It wasn't before. If you would drive through here now, it's a that's the ponding area. But this is also a ponding area, but they improved it into a park. I think there's fields and sidewalks and stuff. But that wasn't the case before. Many years ago, it was actually just a hole in the ground, just like this other one over here, and it was just useless type of thing. Okay. Some characteristics to know that if you have a pond or not, you'll have a depth gauge. Is if you're in an area and you don't know if it's considered a pond or not, the city of El Paso requires what's called a depth gauge. And if you look closely at these ponds, they usually have like these masts with little, like a little ruler. And what that does, it tells us the depth of water in in a storm event. Can't see that too well, and I'm trying to think of another one where you can see it pretty good. I think it's over here off of Fonseca. Where is Fonseca? Here we go. There's another ponding area right in here, and I think this one you can see the depth gauge pretty good. Let's go to here. In Fonseca area, I guess not. I'm trying to find that depth gauge. Like I said, it's just a like a kind of like a big stick sticking out of the ground to show depth of water. If you haven't seen one, check it out next time. Mm, I guess this one doesn't have it. I thought I saw one. I'll try to look for one a little later and show you. But again, that's how you can tell you're in a pond. And most of the time they're fenced off. They really don't want people in there because it's obviously dangerous. But the city of El Paso has gotten a little bit more um, lenient on that and just kind of open up the areas and use them. Because before it was just a useless piece of property just to hold water. It doesn't rain here in El Paso very much, so then most of the time they're dry. But they've gotten the idea now to make parks out of them. Of course, if you're in a park area and it starts raining and a real bad rain, of course you want to stay away from there because it will flood. It's meant to flood. But but most of the time the city is pretty much saying, no, no, go ahead and use it. It's a park, so you can go in there and use it now, and just make better use of those pieces of property. But this one in particular is called the vocational pond park. Okay. All right. So hopefully that gave you a better idea of uh, retention and detention ponds, and if anything, Storm 2006.